Caregivers, have you ever felt like nothing is going right? Well, cheer up and welcome to Dave, the Caregiver's Caregiver Radio Program, where you'll learn how to avoid that dreaded thing called caregiver burnout and how to survive the grieving process. Join Dave and his guests now as they share practice tips and tools that you can start using immediately to help get you through this day. Now, here's your caregiver host, Dave Nassani.
From Huntington Beach, California, and New York City, Manhattan, a big LA, and a Big Apple, welcome to all my listeners out there in Radio Land. I am Dave, the Caregiver's Caregiver, on the Caregiver Dave Show, coming to you live from the syndicated all-positive talk radio network, healthylife.net, broadcasting in all 50 states and 135 countries. And just a reminder that all our shows are available on demand at healthylife.net. And our membership website, caregiverdave.com, voted number 2 best podcast of the top 6 caregiver podcasts by caring.com, and we're proud of that. And we're offering to anybody who goes to caregiverdave.com our free burnout quiz, as well as my first book about overcoming hardships, absolutely free. So do that right now while you're listening to the show. And we do have an exciting show planned for you today with my lovely co-host and founder of the Caregiver Space, Adrienne Gruberg. Say hello, Adrienne.
Hello.
And we'll be interviewing Mandy Bass, who became one of the first female success coaches in the country, but was brutally beaten and almost raped before being rescued by the police. When why she forgave her attacker, let me start that over again. And why she forgave her attacker on the air on Megyn Kelly's Today Show. You won't want to miss this amazing story. So before we get started, I do want to thank my last guest, Cyrus Rosen. I think Mandy knows him. 15-year-old high school student at the Charter School of Wilmington, Delaware. He's an executive for the Entrepreneurship Club at Charter School. He's a TEDx Wilmington speaker alongside yours truly. He is founder of so many clubs at his school. He is an inspiration. I have a 15-year-old grandson, and wow, I don't want to make any comparisons, but he's amazing. He's an amazing boy. Now you can watch or listen to that interview and all our interviews on healthylife.net and our membership website, as I said, caregiverdave.com. All right, enough of that. Mandy Bass, welcome to the show.
Hi, Dave. Thank you for having me.
No problem. There's a lot in your bio that I did not read, but I'm so excited to have you on, and why don't you take a minute or two and just tell us, who is Mandy Bass, and why was she put on this earth before we get into your questions?
Good question.
Thanks.
I think we're all put on here to learn and grow, so certainly done a lot of that over the last few years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to correct something. I was not in my bio. I was attacked, and that is true. And I'm happy to talk about that. But I wasn't. There wasn't a sexual assault. There was no rape or attempted rape. So I just want to make that.
Oh, no attempted rape. Okay.
No.
All right.
So it was a physical assault.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. That's what happens when I don't go by my notes and ad lib. Had a Donald Trump moment there. Okay. So why were you put on this earth?
Well, I believe that we're put on this earth, at least I am, to learn and grow and to keep growing as human beings, to learn how to love each other and ourselves and discover ourselves. So
that's a great goal. I think we should all have that goal. So, for the past 20 years, you've been the sole financial supporter of your mother. And what a good daughter, your mother might say, right? As a self-employed single woman, it's required a lot of sacrifice. How did you get into a situation where you became the sole supporter of your mother? How would you describe your relationship before and after?
Yeah, so my mother and I have always had a difficult relationship. I'm sure there's a lot of women that can relate to, I would love to have a fairy tale relationship with my mom and say that it was always perfect and we get along great and we're just like sisters, but it's never been like that. And it seems ever since in my early adolescence, we would be like oil and water. And I left home very young. I was, I think, a week after my 17th birthday or so. I left South Africa, which is where I'm raised, and came to the States to go to school and basically to get out of home, right? Mm-hmm. And ended up living here. And then when, in 1998, I believe, I brought my mom out. And by that point, I'd really forgotten I'd been away so long. And when I would go back to visit her, I would go stay at my sister's house and it would just be a vacation. So we would just have very limited contact. And so when I brought her out to come live with me, I was really surprised and all of a sudden remembered that we didn't get along.
You remembered that, huh? Moms and daughters have just weird relationships. Yeah. I mean, even my own kids, there's just something, I don't know what's going on between mothers and daughters. But so it's definitely different from mothers and sons.
Yeah, I think that what it is that I think that most relationships, and so not to get too philosophical here, but I think most relationships are projections of what we have inside of us. Mm. And so in one way or another, either that we hold dear or the things that we don't like about ourselves. And I think that it's really easy to see the things that bother you about yourself in your female counterpart if you're a female, or your male counterpart if you're a male. I think that that's basically, I think a lot of it comes from that. And so a lot of the things that we find, that I found, or that through this whole process of, forgiveness, and I've discovered that that's really a lot of when we are angry and upset about people. A lot of it says more about our relationship to ourselves than what it says about that person per se, because we all have everything in us, and what are we focusing on? Yeah. So I think that's that's something that I've really learned.
It reminds me of a Bible verse: "Love your neighbor as you love yourself." If you don't love yourself, how are you going to love your neighbor?
Right.
Adrienne, you've got some experience from mothers and daughter relationships, don't you?
Oh, yes.
Anything to throw in with that?
Well, I wanted to ask Mandy if she found that her mother was she looking for you to fulfill the things that she had not been able to fulfill in her life?
Absolutely. And so, absolutely, that's so true. Now, what happened, I've been running a business, my own business, being self-employed for a long time. So when my mom came, I had this fantasy that, she would work for me in my office, and it would all, it would be wonderful. And it turned out to be just a horrible situation. We would argue, and we couldn't get anything done. So I said, I tell you what, Mom, I'm going to pay you not to come to work.
So that's how it started. That's how you've been supporting your mother for 20 years.
Right. And so that's really how it got started. Yeah. And I said, what is it that, because she always wanted to be an athlete. So we come from, her family thought that, for her to be an athlete was just a terrible thing. A woman couldn't do that. You had to, they married her off when she was 17 and she had 5 kids. So she never had the opportunity, and she was always a really good athlete. She'd played in the Maccabi games, table tennis when she was, when I was just a baby. But it was something that she always wanted to do. And I said, you know what? Why don't you go and, just fulfill your passion. Go see what you want to do. And she started race walking, and then she started running. And in her 80s, she's like an senior Olympic champion.
Oh my God.
She
All
holds
right.
all the state records for running and table tennis and all kinds of things. And
You helped
so
her achieve her dreams.
yeah, so in the
That's great.
last sort of, the last part of her life has been the most fulfilling for her, as far as, because she really wasn't cut out to be a mom.
Mm-hmm. I know a few people like that.
Nor was mine. Yeah.
I know a few
I
people
love her.
like
I
that.
do love her. I really have a sacred relationship.
You've been
with
a
her
great
now.
daughter.
I'm not saying it's easy, but it's been very fulfilling to be able to help her achieve what she's always wanted out of life.
Would she say that you're a great daughter?
Of course, she would say I'm a great daughter.
Because you are. Wow. That's,
I try, yeah.
I know mothers
do,
who would
but
love to have a daughter like you.
yeah, well, yeah. I'm hard on her too, though. So
Don't beat yourself up.
none of us are perfect.
So tell us about the attack. How did that happen?
All right, so it was Super Bowl Sunday 2016, and middle of the day on a Sunday afternoon, I was at my desk trying to catch up on some email when I heard the sound of glass breaking coming from the other side of the house. And I got up to go and investigate, and next thing I know, I'm face to face with this drug-crazed intruder who I'd never seen. And he was actually quite well dressed, but his eyes were really crazy. And next
You mean
thing
you've never seen him before?
I'd never seen him before, yeah. Because people think, like,
him.
well, why did he choose your house, and whatever.
What'd you say, Adrienne?
But you could read him. You saw
I could
that
read
he
him,
was-
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
he started to, like, imitate me. Like, I said, get out of my house. And he said, get out of my house. And he started to, like, everything I was doing, he was mimicking me.
Oh.
And next thing I know, his fist smashed my face, and he just started to beat me out of control, and it was started to kick me, and he was kicking me in the ribs and ranting, "Do you believe in the forgiveness of Jesus Christ?"
Oh my God!
And yeah, I know in my talk, I could say it's like a place in a 10-minute talk, you can't quite go there.
Sure.
So. Anyway, it was just, I was able to escape. The first time I tried to escape, he pulled me back into the house and nearly killed me with a chair, with a very heavy dining room chair that I have. Luckily, I blocked with my right arm. And the chair broke my arm, but my head stayed intact.
Didn't kill you.
And when I got outside, I thought he would be right behind me, and I just ran for my life. And next thing I know, I get pulled to the side, and when I turn around to face who I think is going to be him, I'm in the arms of a uniformed police officer.
Wow.
And
why are they there?
Right. What had happened was they had been chasing him from another neighborhood. They saw him get over my fence and break my window. They were sitting outside the entire time the attack was taking place. They were waiting for backup outside.
Oh.
So anyway, that's kind of what happened.
So if they didn't come, you might not be here. Was he following you?
Yeah, and I mean, I would have, at the time, I was real when I was sort of in recovery. I was so angry at them because I was like, why didn't they come in sooner? Like, why did they just
Why'd
leave
you wait
me
for
there?
backup?
Yeah, but in retrospect, I mean, you can only imagine what could have happened. He was strung out on drugs, and who knows what. We all say. So the story is that it was the first time he had ever done drugs. Or
so you never felt like he was leading up to a sexual encounter or rape or anything like that?
No. I mean, I that didn't even. I don't even think that occurred to me at all because it happened so quickly. He was trying to. It was more that he was it seemed, and we've had conversations between us about what happened, and he thought I was the devil. He was trying to kill me. He thought that's why he was trying to, asking me if I believed in the forgiveness of Jesus Christ. He was like trying to kill me, thinking that I was the devil or whatever. So,
did he ever get psychiatric help after his?
He did get,
Does he still require it also?
I don't know if that is in the, currently he's on probation, and, he has to submit to drug testing and that kind of a thing. And I don't know, he did get a psych evaluation, in order for the court and that kind of a thing. And, they said it was the drugs. I'm always like err on the side of go get some help.
Sure. Do you have a picture? I know you took a picture. Somebody took a picture of you. All legend.
We have. Yeah.
Do you have it handy, or do you want to share that?
I don't.
Maybe
have
during the break, if you can.
A picture of me when I was beaten up. You mean?
Yeah, because you showed it at the TEDx.
Yeah, I don't have it handy, but
yeah. My wife was beaten up by her ex-husband. Gave her 2 black eyes, a broken nose, and she looked just like you. He had this crazed look in his eyes, like it was a devil. And he was high on speed. And they were married for 10 years, and he'd never done anything like that before. And, she's the kind of woman that says, if you did it once, you'll do it again. Mm-hmm. I'm out of here. And next day, he was apologizing and, crying. But she said, no. Which is the kind of the behavior you would expect. But when I heard your story, I says, oh, my God.
Did you press charges, Mandy?
Oh yeah, well they he was nearly the police arrested him on the scene, and he was charged on several felony counts, one of them first degree.
They didn't need you to press charges, right? They had enough stuff
they didn't need me to press charges, but I cooperated with them, obviously. Mm-hmm. But then as the days and weeks progressed, it wasn't, I didn't come to forgiveness, very quickly.
Yeah. How did it start? How did you go from, I hate this guy, to,
Yeah, the anger was really poisoning me. And, I've been a very spiritual person for a very long time, and I do a lot of work, and I meditate, and, so I really understand that when we hold anger, that the anger poisons, literally poisons you, because you start to, your body produces, when you get angry, when you think an angry thought, your body produces adrenaline and cortisol, which is normal for it to do. And if that just happens when you get angry for a few moments, that's fine. But when you can constantly stay angry all the time, it takes a toll on you. And, my entire life was falling apart. My business was almost going bankrupt. My relationships with everybody. Yeah, because I couldn't work. I had terrible concussion, and I couldn't remember anything. A lot of what I do is very strategic in working with my clients. And so I didn't have the capacity to really do anything. And I couldn't remember what I was doing. I'd walk into a room and go, what am I doing here? My analytical skills were just gone. And so also I was starting to lose all my relationships. I realized that things were going really badly. And, the common denominator amongst all those things was me. And that I knew that people could justify why I could continue to be angry and why this would change my life. But I was in danger of becoming a bitter and angry person. That wasn't who I wanted to be.
Well, so internalizing it just turns everything acidic, cancer, ulcers.
Right. And
how long did it take you to get to that realization?
So probably it was so this happened in February, and I came to that realization probably in about July.
Took 5 months.
July, August. No, I would say July. I would say I'd start really trying to work on it at the end of July, August.
Mm-hmm.
Things was just coming to a breaking point, and so I started doing a Course in Miracles. I don't know if you're familiar with that, which is really like, it's really funny because I'm a member of a Zen group. I'm Jewish by birth, so I've been Jewish. I follow sort of Zen Buddhism a little bit, and now here I am reading this, book based on Christianity. But I started really getting into the exercises that were very similar to things I'd done in the past, but they were just exercises to help you sort of like loosen the way you see things, loosen how your perspective, that what you're seeing is just how you're seeing it. It's not what's real. And so just working with that really sort of helped me soften a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I got this package in the mail of their case that the defense attorney had sent me. And it basically gave me, his entire case, that he had been an Eagle Scout, a model student, that, he had all these letters of commendation from the president of the university, from President Obama, from all these different things. He has a
stellar individual, huh?
Yeah, he had a day in the place that he lives near New York. The city has a day named after him.
Oh my gosh.
Had been like, he is just like the stellar kid.
Hold that thought right there, Mandy, because we need to take a break, and I want to talk more about that. So we'll be right back. Don't go away. Maybe you can find that picture during our 3-minute break.
I'll take a look.
David Nassani.
Best-selling author Dave Nassani.
Dave Nassani.
Dave Nassani is a best-selling author.
Where is the caregiver for the caregiver? That is where Dave Nassani comes in.
Mr. Dave Nassani.
Thank you. So you're needed.
I am needed.
You are very much needed.
I am
and
needed.
Kind of one of a kind, right?
The woman I loved had suffered a massive stroke, left her severely speech impaired and paralyzed on the right side. Well, the first mistake the caregivers make is they don't know how to put their needs first. Now, the airlines tell us every time we go on an airplane that an oxygen mask will fall. Put your mask on first before you help your loved one with their mask. Right. For the next 2 years, our lives had become a living hell. And then there came a point where I finally had to just scream. I says, I can't take this anymore. Yeah. The second mistake that caregivers often make is they don't know how to ask for help. Now, everyone has one of these. Mm-hmm. It's called a cell phone. You turn it on, you punch in the number, and you talk. Hello, Mom. I need help. Grandma's driving me crazy. I realize there's so many other caregivers out there who are suffering, who are going through tremendous pain and feeling lost and alone. And I wanted to help them triumph over that pain. I didn't want them to give up like I almost gave up. It's called Sanford and Son, right? He used undeserved guilt. It went something like this. Oh, it's a big one. No, son, really, it's a big one. Elizabeth, I'm coming to meet you, honey. She's amazing to watch. She makes us normal people look like whiners and complainers. I mean, she's my hero. First of all, when someone is just wired like a caregiver, they're caring and they're giving and they give and give and give, but unfortunately they give until they burn themselves out. Mm-hmm. There's nothing left to give. Yeah. So now I host a popular iTunes podcast, the Caregiver Radio Show, and I'm a best-selling author to my third book. It's My Life 2, Reclaim Your Caregiver Sanity. I've been on my national book and media tour all across the country, just being on morning shows just like this one. And I even shared the stage with Suzanne Summers at Harvard. Mm-hmm. Basically, I'm sharing my message, how to prevent your loved one's illness or disease from actually killing you. Come and join our community of caregivers. Let us love on you. Let us support you.
Dave is an amazing man. I was in tears when I heard his story. He spoke from his heart.
Dave is really my idol because he created something for caretakers. And I was a caretaker for my father. It's already 15 years and I'm still crying.
Every caregiver's life is a love story. Let me help you make that love story one of hope and triumph. Thank you very much. And we're back with Mandy Bass on the Caregiver Dave Show and Adrienne Gruberg, my co-host.
Okay.
So you were telling about, you were starting to think about forgiving him, and you realized that the negative energy was too much, and then you started to, what?
Yeah, I just started to really focus on myself. I focused on healing myself. I started recognizing that a lot of the anger that I was experiencing was anger that I was feeling toward myself, So I started just working on righting my relationship with myself. I had turned into, or I had become a person, and I don't believe I was always this way, but through this process, I'd become a person who I'm always hard on myself, and so I was constantly thinking about all the wrong decisions that I had made and all the things I had done wrong, and if I had done this or that.
If onlys.
Yeah.
Blaming yourself?
Blaming myself. And there was a lot of, there's, especially in what I do, being a success coach, I had always felt like if I wasn't sort of successful and not perfect, but that how could I be doing what I do?
You need to take your own advice, otherwise you're a hypocrite.
Be a good example too.
So I was just being so hard, and so I just started forgiving myself and trying to be kind and compassionate, and I would just start these practices where I would be walking across the bridge as I was bringing myself physically back. I would walk across the bridge that goes from the sort of mainland over the Indian River in where I live, and I would start sending out love and compassion to other people, the people that I was seeing, and everybody. I would just start, everybody who came to mind, I was just sort of like sending compassion and love, and that's kind of how it sort of like began opening my heart. And and just start, I had a lot of tools already because I'd been in the business of helping people for over 20 years. But what this helped me do was just sort of use them, find some and use them. It didn't really matter what I used. I just wanted to do something to inward, right?
Yeah, compassionate to yourself. I mean, our last guest, Adrienne, remember he was just talking about how caregivers just need to be compassionate to themselves and forgive themselves and everything. And this is a caregiver message, so this is for everybody, but it's for caregivers too.
Right.
So go on.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, and so then I decided after getting that package that laid out his whole story and his whole defense that I decided that I wanted to meet him because they were pushing to have their charges mitigated, meaning they wanted them downgraded. His attorney.
And they contacted you?
The district attorney was constantly contacting me, trying to see what I wanted before they would even discuss mitigation with the young man, because they had him, I think, on 5 felony counts. One of them was a first degree. He was facing a life sentence. And maybe even 20 years, even the fact that it was his first offense, because he had so many. They had all kinds of charges, aggravated battery and so on. So
you saved his life. I mean, his life was going to be in the pits. That's a lot of compassion.
Yeah, so I couldn't see really the value of taking a 21-year-old what he was at that time. He was 21 years old, and he had been a model student, and all of a sudden, his first offense, sending him into prison with a bunch of hardened criminals, what would happen to him? How would that serve society? What good would that do for me? And he would come out and then, probably be worse than he ever was going in.
Right.
So I just couldn't see that as well. At first, I decided that I wanted to meet him face to face. Is what happened.
How long did it take for your face to get back to normal?
Oh, probably about 3 months, maybe 2-3 months.
Or maybe it was easier for you to start thinking of compassion and forgiveness because you weren't looking in the mirror at it was like right there. Did that have anything to do with
my
it?
face was the quickest thing to heal. Because I had a broken arm, and that took long. I had stitches in my head, and I had concussion. So those things took a little longer. The arm took. I still have issues with my wrist.
Yeah. How about is that traumatic brain injury? Would that be considered traumatic brain injury?
I guess concussion is traumatic brain. I don't know that it's not extreme.
Any lingering issues mentally, cognitive, short-term memory?
I like to blame my memory.
Yes, you need an excuse for that. I need lots of excuses. Someone must have dropped a hammer on my head when I was little.
So anyway, but so when I went to go see him, or when we had the meeting set up, so the meeting took place on November the 11th. So his father came with him and his attorney.
What was his father like?
His father is a lovely man and a little bit older than me. And so what happened was I immediately went to, wow, what must this be like? What must this experience be like for him? In between the time that he had committed the crime, he was released on bail a couple days after the event.
Really?
But so because it was his first offense. So he had graduated in between this time.
Wow.
And so I was thinking, wow.
What was his major?
Marketing. Yeah. So I was thinking the father, like, what must this be like? He's brought his son up. They did the best they could, and now he's just graduated. Like, when you're thinking here, your son is about to start his life. He's graduating. You have all these expectations and all the stuff, and here he's facing a life sentence.
Yeah.
So I immediately kind of went into how he must be feeling.
Passion
and
again.
So from
Empathy.
there, that flexibility to go from where I was to, I couldn't imagine how the kid was feeling, but I could imagine how his father must be feeling. And that gave me the compassion to just kind of go, you know what?
Wow.
Gotta let this go.
We need to take another break, but you are an amazing coach because you practice what you preach. And this is going to make your coaching business even more successful because, we often coach people, I can't do that. He says, hey, how'd you like to do what I did, walk a mile in my moccasin, so to speak. So we'll be right back. Don't go away.
One Arm, One Leg, 100 Words, Overcoming Unbelievable Hardships, is about Charlene, a stroke survivor. Back in 1996, Charlene was a healthy, normal, very active 52-year-old woman whose amazing talents resemble that of both a Martha Stewart and a Wonder Woman. But all that changed when she suffered a massive stroke that left her severely speech impaired and paralyzed on the right side. Everyone who knows Charlene is thoroughly amazed at how she lives day by day, month by month, year by year, and with a smile on her face and hope in her heart that everything is going to be okay. Just hear what best-selling author Lynn Barrington has to say about it. If you think you have it bad, read this book. This is a beautiful, genuine story told from the heart. It's inspiring and easy to read. When you finish this book, you'll be able to look at your concerns in a new light. One Arm, One Leg, 100 Words, Overcoming Unbelievable Hardships. Available everywhere.
And we're back with Adrienne Gruberg and Mandy Bass with her amazing, amazing story of forgiveness, of empathy, of compassion. Wow, I wish I had 1/10 of those qualities.
Well, I'd have to say, I think it was a grace, really. I mean, I really, it sort of just came over me. It was more like it was given to me, that I just received it and allowed it versus making it happen.
From above.
Yeah.
Awesome. Wow. So, forgiving your attacker, how it helped change your perspective on how you view your relationship with your mother. Let's bring your mother into this. And say, how did this change that perspective?
Yeah, so what I realized was, that I'd been holding so much anger towards my mother over all these years. And, there was a part of it where I was like, I felt like she was the cross that I was bearing.
That's common for Jewish girls.
Yeah. Yeah, she was the Star of David, I was going to
Adrienne is Jewish, if you didn't already know that.
If you couldn't tell.
So anyway, I think that what happened was I realized, if I could forgive him and all that he had done, how could I not forgive my mother? And maybe I just needed to look at our relationship differently. If I could look at this relationship, what else could I do? Mm-hmm. And so, and with conscious intention, it was with conscious intention that I was working on myself, on him, on forgiving, but with her, why couldn't I do the same thing?
And thinking, if I could do this, why can't I do that?
Right. And so I began to start seeing, instead of looking at what I was doing as a cross I was bearing, looking at more as my sacred responsibility, something sacred that I get to do. I've gotten to give her a life she always wanted. I've gotten to this opportunity, to do that. And so it really shifted our relationship, so it really did. And even though things, I'm not saying it's a panacea and we made friends and we lived happily ever after. We never argued after that. That's not true. But we've become much more loving. I speak to her every single day, and
she returns the love. So what you give, you receive.
Yeah, I think she's always returned the love. It's just that I wanted the love my way, right? I don't want to love it that way. I don't want you to love me by feeding me. I want you to love me by
right.
telling me that I'm beautiful, right, or whatever.
Yeah. So did she see? Well, first of all, how did she react to your beating? How did she react to your forgiveness? And how did she react to the change in you? Or did she notice the change even?
Oh yeah. I think that I don't think she's really forgiven the young man. So at that point, I had just moved up to Melbourne, Florida from Miami, which is about a 200 from Fort Lauderdale, actually. So it's about 200 miles roughly. Mm-hmm. And I hadn't been here that long, so I didn't really have a support network where I live. And so when I got home from the hospital, the next day, not that day, but the next day, I called her and said, there's been a bit of an accident and I need help. It was really hard asking her because I'd always been the one to help her, and now all of a sudden the role was reversed, the reversal of the reversal role.
Sure.
Right?
How did she react?
And so
did you warn her?
It was really difficult. I said I got a little beaten up, and she wasn't really, she was very stoic when she came in, but, she was shocked. I mean, later on she told me that she was because I was gasp, people would gasp when they saw me.
Yeah, I saw the picture.
So, yeah. And so, she didn't, she just, and then and then she had to take care of me, and that was hard for her, and that was hard, very, very hard for her. And when I forgave him, she did, and she stayed as long as I wanted her to stay, and then,
she was acting like a mother.
Yeah, yeah. And it was very hard,
Yeah, I bet.
It was very hard for both of us. So, but we got through that, and yeah, I think she's probably read my book probably 5 or 6 times. She reads it all the time. She's still trying to study it,
What is she getting out of the book? What's drawing her to read it again?
I think she's trying to figure out how she came to how I came to the forgiveness. I think that she aspires to having that level of compassion in herself.
So you're an expert in mind power techniques. Can you tell us, maybe share some things that have helped you? Where can we get more information about this and other kind of strategies, when we're done?
Okay, so
share all that?
my Mind Power website is mindtosucceed.com. And my website for myself for speaking and for my consulting is mandybass.com, my first last name. My book, Taming the Takalash.
What is a takalash? Adrienne and I didn't know.
What is a takalash?
It sounds like a Jewish word.
Takalash is a South African, like a boogeyman in South Africa. It's used in witchcraft. And so the Taming the Takalash is my symbol in my book. I tell the story of the attack and how it healed me, but I use the takalash as the symbol for fear throughout the book. We all have a takalash, whether it's our fear about something, our security in life, or the things that we want to do that we don't have the confidence to do. Whatever those things are that hold us back, we each have our own takalash, and so that's really what.
What's the subtitle?
Through Fear into Healing. Maybe that could have been,
Well, listen, we're up on another break, if you can believe it.
Wow.
So we are, things are just moving along here. The time goes so quickly. So we will be right back. Do not go away. Dave Nassani, the Caregiver's Caregiver, has just released his 6th book, entitled It's My Life Too. Reclaim your caregiver sanity by learning when to say yes and when to say no. It was specifically written for caregivers who know they should be putting their needs first, but just don't know how. Dave is the sole caregiver to his wife, Charlene, since 1996. He knows firsthand what caregivers are going through, because he is one. And he now speaks all across the country, offering caregivers his incredible caregiver support package. Even the airlines tell us that in the event of an emergency, to put your oxygen mask on first before you help your child with their mask. They know that those who don't heed their advice often black out, thus becoming unable to help either themselves or their child. And caregivers are exactly the same way. It's My Life Too. Reclaim your caregiver sanity by learning when to say yes and when to say no. Will help caregivers who are neglecting their sleep, diet, and social life, and learn to put their needs first. Pick up your copy today or buy one for your special caregiver. On sale everywhere and at caregiverscaregiver.com. And we're back on the Caregiver Dave Show with Mandy Bass and Adrienne Gruberg, my co-host. And aside from meditation and compassion practices and some of the other techniques you recommend on your site, are there any other resources you would recommend to our listeners?
Yeah, well, I mean, there are a lot of, on the website you'll find, and also at the back of the book, you'll find a lot of different exercises to help you get emotional flexibility. I think it's really important to do whatever. It's not so much the techniques themselves, but do the kind of reading, do the kind of practices that are going to work for you, whatever that is. And I think that it can be different for everybody. I do think personally that filling your life, starting every day with something positive, a good way for you to start your day, whatever that is, if it's getting out and walking, or if it's just doing something for yourself in the morning, to just always try to get a good start, a reset, to start your life every day. And then to have some type of, I think having some type of a spiritual practice, whatever it is, whatever you follow, it doesn't matter so much as having something that connects you and puts your mind into a place where you can get beyond the physical drudgery of everyday life, because sometimes things can get really, depending on where your focus is, depends on, what your life is. And so if you can be focused on something that's bigger and greater than yourself, and recognize that there's so many people so much worse off, and just kind of get yourself into a state of gratitude for just a few moments every day, it makes a huge difference to your perspective on everything.
I love that term, emotional flexibility. I've never heard that before, but that's a great term. And when you said better, I got the image of Kunta Kinte holding his child up. Behold, the only one greater than yourself. My kids hate that about me. Anytime a song lyric comes up, I'll just break out in singing that song. And say, oh, Dad. Well, the above should feel more. What am I trying to say? The everything you spoke about is amazing, and I really hope that people buy your book because it sounds like it's an exercise in self-improvement. I mean, you read some books and it's okay, that was a nice story, but this book can literally change your life. It's almost like, a 9-week coaching session. Is that accurate?
Well, I would say that people tell me that this book changed their life. So hopefully it will. There's a lot of great things to. Yeah, the back of the book is a resource section, and it gives you all kinds of exercises. It even teaches you how to meditate, how to exercises for emotional flexibility, for forgiveness, how to get yourself to a point of wanting to forgive. Because sometimes we hold so much anger inside of us that just getting to the place. We know that forgiveness will be good for us, but we can't quite get ourselves to want to forgive. So I help you get to how do you get to that place of wanting to forgive, and then once you really want to forgive, how you can go about making that easy. And when that shift happens for you, I think you'll find that it's really it comes from that desire. It comes from doing the work, but as it happens, it'll be like a grace, and it'll just change your life in so many ways, but like a weight just lifted off from you.
So I'm assuming that your business is no longer bankrupt, that your relationships are no longer destroyed, that things have turned around for you in a couple of years.
Yeah, things have turned around. So my business didn't quite go bankrupt, but it was almost bankrupt. But I built it back pretty quickly. Luckily, and that's good because I'm a business coach, right? So it's a good thing.
Sure.
I followed my advice.
Oh, a little louder, Adrienne.
The name of the book again.
The name of the book again.
The Takalash. Through Fear into Healing. And if you go to Amazon and look at my name, Mandy Bass, it'll come up right away.
Yes, but some with two different subtitles, but that's okay. It's the same book.
Yeah, I have not seen that.
Check it out when we get off. Go on Amazon and Google your name. So that's amazing. So has your experience actually improved your coaching business?
So my business has really kind of shifted. I do a lot more speaking now. Well, I was doing a lot of speaking early on in my career, but then
What were you speaking about before?
I was speaking about marketing and business strategies, and also I would speak a lot about mind power and how to use the power of your mind.
You still do that?
I still do that, and I also use my story more in how I rebuilt my business when it comes to business marketing, how I rebuilt my business and went from 0 to 6 figures, in under 6 months. And so I help people get there. But then I also talk about the things that I learned from that experience on the mind side about mind power and courage and personal responsibility. And, I'm doing a talk in just a couple weeks for a corporate client about personal responsibility, and I use my story, to help them kind of get there.
So it's really expanded your reach to more different segments. You're talking about more different things and maybe more audience, different types of audience. Yes?
And I think that I'm more inclined to allow things to unfold organically than I ever was before, because I used to be a bit of a control freak and think that everything I did was about what I did, and then I just kind of learned that sometimes it doesn't really matter what you do. And so I learned to be enjoy my life more and not take things so seriously, be serious about not taking life seriously.
Yeah. Wow.
And I think that's
pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Anything you want to ask, Adrienne, before we wrap it up?
Nope.
Nope, she's got all her questions answered. So, again, let's give that website information again and contact information, email, however you want to get contacted.
Okay, so you can go to mindtosucceed.com, and that's just the regular spelling, MINDTO, succeed.com, or Mandy at mandybass.com is my email. And my other website, which is my business website, is my blog is Mind to Succeed, where I have all my resources, but my business website is mandybass.com. And I look forward to hearing it. Anybody has any questions, I get a lot of messages on Facebook, and you can just look me up, Mandy Bass. I get a lot of messages, a lot of questions about people who are really struggling with holding on to anger. I'm happy to answer your questions. Happy to give you a little advice if I can be helpful. And I'd also recommend if you have any kids in your family who are college age or high school age, I'd highly recommend that you Google or go to YouTube and look up my name and look up the Today Show. And you'll find the video of Kevin, the young man who attacked me, he was on the show as well. And it's just a really great segment on why not to do drugs. And it kind of gives my story. And, a lot of people want to speak to their kids about drugs and not taking drugs. And
what drug did he take? Did he tell you?
He thought it was LSD, but it was LSD laced with something, because I don't think that LSD typically does this. But he had a psychotic break, and it wasn't even the same day. It was the next day after he took it.
Wow.
So for like 24 hours, he was in really bad shape.
First drug he ever took?
He tells his story on there. So that's why if you have anyone who has kids that are that age, that vulnerable age in college or high school, go look at that and, watch the whole thing. It's 20 minutes. It'll be the best 20 minutes that those kids have spent, better than anything you can tell them about drugs.
Thank you again. And we just want to wish everybody a great day, a great week. We will see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Caregiver's Caregiver Radio Program with Dave Nassani.